Okay, so for today, we're going to be going over some link building basics and just some things to know when you're actually ready to start doing backlink outreach and building links to your website.
Okay.
So really, the session on Monday was all about, doing some research, kind of taking inventory on where your website is, and now that you have that information, knowing what type of links you need to realistically compete in your market. So starting off, there are many types of backlinks, and kind of going back to the golden rule for links from Monday, you really want to have a natural backlink profile. You want to have a good mix of different types of backlinks. There isn't like, what we went over with no follow, do follow. There isn't like a certain percentage of each type of backlink you should have. Um, a good way to proceed is always to look at your competitors to see kind of how they're getting their links. But the key takeaway on this point is that you just want to have different types of links to your website.
Okay.
Link building, especially when you're getting started, it should be rolled out in different phases. And for each of those phases, you have different goals and different types of links that you should go out and get, and also different link velocities on how quickly you're acquiring new backlinks. So starting off, this is a list of different types of backlinks. And let me zoom in here a bit. So the common ones are citations and directory listings. So these are pretty common for any type of local-based business or business that's targeting the local market. Um,
Okay.
so Yelp, Manta, YP.com, the Yellow Pages website, Google My Business is an example of a citation. These are all backlinks that pretty much give you your business credibility with Google and Bing. Because the idea here is that any legitimate business would have listings on these websites. And if you don't have those listings, then it's kind of like, are you a legit business or not? Now, for Alpha Graphics, I know they're using Yext for this. I think that's a good way to go about it because there are many different franchise locations and it could be a pain in the butt trying to manage all the listings for each location. But if you're a one location business, Yext might be a bit costly or not cost effective. So I suggest the White Spark
Okay.
tool. I shared a few weeks ago, I think in the resources, they have like a one-time fee to do this if you do want to outsource this, or you can always do this yourself. And I have a list of different listings in the resources for today's session, where if you want to do it or maybe hire a virtual assistant to do it, that's always an option.
Okay.
Press releases. So if you ever kind of do any research on using press releases for SEO, it's kind of always, two different sides of the fence where some people, they say that they're not really good because they are spammed to death, while other people say there can be a great way to get your website off the ground when it comes to link building. And I fall into the latter group where I don't think press releases, unless maybe it's a huge website, I don't think they're going to immediately get you traffic, but they can be a great way for adding no follow links to your backlink profile and doing it very quickly. Because remember, we do need a mix, and press releases usually are going to provide no follow links. So I do
Okay.
recommend using them for that purpose. And if you have like a great news story or something, update with your business, they definitely can be legitimate. And I'll
Okay.
provide my go-to provider for press releases and the resources for the week
Okay.
for the session.
Great.
Guest posts, pretty simple. So you reach out to another website and tell them, hey, I'll write an article for you to be posted on your website. Just in that article, um, we're I will need to link back to my site. So these are great, and this is an easy way to get started. The challenge with guest posts is that it can be difficult to scale. And can be costly because for each website, you're going to have to create a new piece of content so that everything's unique.
Right.
Most sophisticated website owners, they're going to run the content to a plagiarism checker.
Right.
So if you're trying to reuse the content over and over again, yeah, that's just not going to fly.
Little flag. Okay.
Yeah. So, guest posts, they can be a great way to get started, but not very scalable. What I do recommend, especially if you're doing this yourself and you're not trying to outsource it, are infographics, link insertions, or video links. Video links, I mean, you can take a YouTube video or a video posted to YouTube, and there are like maybe, I would say 8 to 10 other video websites out there that you can use. Also, if you create a video on a topic that someone's already written an article for, you can always reach out to that article writer or the website owner and say, hey, I saw that you wrote a article on XYZ topic. I also created a great video on it. Would you want to embed it? So that's always an option too. Link insertions, if you have the budget, they can be very effective. So basically what you would do, there are 2 ways to approach this. Number one, you can work with a link insertion provider. So they already have relationships with a network of different websites and website owners. And you just tell them, hey, I'm looking for a link in the fashion niche, and I'm looking for this to be my anchor text, and it should point to this page on my website. And once you get a system, it's really easy. And then usually, you'll just pay a fee for that link. So if you have the budget, you can order as many of these as you want, over time. But they can also get costly. Infographics of the scalable methods is probably my favorite because, if you can find a really cool topic to create an infographic about, and if you have the design skills, or if you can find a provider with the design skills,
Yeah.
People love graphics, especially in your niche. So, and then from there, it's kind of similar to the video outreach. Find website owners or writers who have written about the same topic as your infographic, and then just pitch to them. And unlike guest posts where there's a limit, you can reach out to as many websites as you want and still use the same graphic, and just ask that they attribute it to you and link back to your website. So very kind of easy way to get some backlinks on some really good websites.
Awesome. Okay.
Link roundups. So these are like your top 10 list. So, if someone in Denver said top 10 fashion consultants locally, yeah, I think we saw something like this on a CBS website. Finding opportunities to get there, to get included there. So that's really where it helps to have some relationships. So when someone's creating an article like that, you'll be top of mind, or your brand will be top of mind. Sponsor posts. So just as it sounds, you simply go to a website owner and say, hey, I want to be featured on your website, and you pay some fee to get that feature. So, if you have the budget, this is honestly probably the most straightforward way to get links, but these also can get expensive.
Yeah. How expensive have you seen those get?
It really depends on the quality of the website. If you're looking at, a top brand website, you can easily pay hundreds of dollars, even upwards to, $1,000.
Okay.
But if it's a smaller website, it probably, 100 to 150.
Okay.
Typically, when I'm going after these types of links, Spencer, I wouldn't go over $100 unless it made really good sense to.
Yeah.
So if you had the opportunity to get a feature on GQ.com, well, yeah, you might want to pay a little bit more, but for anything like less than that, or less, I guess, brand recognition in that, I probably wouldn't go over 100.
And then do you just how do you typically reach out? Like, do you go under would you search GQ advertising and kind of just start from there, or?
Yeah, so we're actually going to go into that later in the session, but
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, usually I have like a database of search queries that I use. So if I know I want sponsored posts, I'll just you put that query in there. And then usually it's pretty straightforward. If they're accepting sponsored posts, it might not say that on their website. You'll just sometimes the website will have like a contact form. You just fill it out, or they'll provide an email for you to reach out to, and then from there, maybe just pitch them on a topic that you want to have a post about, and
Okay.
then just take it from there. Usually when you're trying to get a sponsored post and either a guest post, there's going to be a bit of negotiation there. So I will
Okay.
always say just kind of have firmly set, your budget or your absolute max for this link. And just, they want to go over that and they're not willing to be flexible, then, you should keep walking or keep looking. So,
Okay.
um, link reclamation. So this is a more passive way to get links or find link opportunities, but it can work especially as your brand continues um, to to get bigger and more branding or brand recognition online. So basically, you're going to set up in Google Alerts some different queries. Are you familiar with Google Alerts?
Yes.
Okay. So basically you're just set up different queries that shows where Spencer Boyce or White Shoes Consulting has been mentioned online, but maybe they didn't link back to you. So in the resources folder this week, I'll share with you kind of some of the go-to queries I use to find those unlinked opportunities. And then you'll just reach out to that website and just say, hey, thanks for mentioning me in your latest content piece. Would you mind linking back to my website?
Okay.
And this can also be a great way to do competitor research. So you'll just have your set of queries for your brand and then maybe have the same set of queries for your competitors. And this can be a great way to see where they're getting links from, and it can be even faster than using a tool like SEMrush.
Okay.
Next one, podcasts, and I love podcasts similar for the same reason as infographics, is that kind of looking beyond backlinks, this can be a great way to build your brand. So, you can find podcasts, they're always looking for guests, and kind of just think about it if you were doing a PR pitch and kind of just, approach it to where this is the unique angle that you can take or unique value you can bring to their podcast that no one else has. And so when I was thinking about this for White Shoes Consulting, it would be interesting if you had a feature on like a dating podcast or, one
Yeah.
of these pickup artist podcasts where, of course, a big part, of attracting a mate may be, your fashion. If you
Yeah.
can dress really well, that can make it easier. So, that having that kind of style expert on could be of great value and benefit to these guys or women audience. So, in that database, you're going to have some search queries there. Kind of to round this out, resource pages. So these are more so, I would say, these are going to be pages that already exist. And really what you're trying to do is get featured on that resource page. So let's say you might have a top 10 fashion consultants or fashion blogs online. And so pretty much the value add there is you're saying, hey, I saw your resource page. Um, I think my blog presents a unique spin on things because of X. And you always want to think about kind of that value that you're providing and really the unique value that you're providing.
Okay.
PR and media opportunities. So this is kind of offline, but can lead to great, again, brand building opportunities. So let's say locally, you may have a local news station where they have a reoccurring piece where they talk about dating or talk about, how can you get a job, and bringing you in, they can interview you, even if it's virtually. That could be something where you're providing your fashion consulting expertise for that audience. So that can be great, for your brand development. And then blog and forum links, I use these more for content promotion. So we'll get into it towards the end of the session, how you can use blog and forum links, but they can
Okay.
also be a great way to promote your own website's content.
Okay.
Any questions there?
Nope.
All right. So moving on, I recognize three different phases of backlink building. So phase one, you have the Google sandbox, where these are typically going to be new websites or websites that have not done much SEO, and you're really just trying to get out of Google's sandbox and, say to Google, hey, I'm a trustworthy website, start ranking me for more terms. Phase two is the trustworthy stage. So this is where you're out of the sandbox. You're starting to rank on, the top 3 pages, I would say, for some of your target phrases. And now you're just really trying to take that next step to be seen as an authority. And then phase three is the authority stage, where this is very difficult to get to, honestly. But this is where if you posted some content on your website today, it'll be ranking by the end of the week. So really, the SEO stuff has built momentum, and now you're just really trying to kind of better capitalize on that momentum.
Yeah. Okay.
So kind of some details on phase one. Um, like I said, this is really your goal is trying to build trust to your website. So this is where you're kind of just going out building social media profiles for the business on different pages or different platforms, building out citations, so making sure that you have citations across the web that reference your business. You want to promote your content on your social media pages, so anytime that you promote or publish a new blog article, make sure that that's being pushed out to your social profiles. Internal link building, so going back to what we discussed on page and technical, making sure that you're just properly linking to new content from your old content. So you just want to make sure that it's really well connected. And then here, during this stage, I will also partner with a press release provider to build those no follow links. This is where really, phase one is really where you're setting the foundation for your brand, in the eyes of Google, and really you're trying to really see some big kind of movements with your rankings over time. So timeline for phase one, I built this out. I think if this is followed to the T, you can get out of phase one, within a quarter, so a few months. So I won't go through each week here, but it's basically, each week you should have a different goal. And by the time you get to week 4 through 6, it's going to be the same things over and over again. But you want to make sure that you're building links to your website and then building links to your social profiles.
Okay.
Starting in week 7, this is where you can pick up the pace. So you can easily build 3 to 5 links, per week to your website. And then weeks 9 through 12, you kind of want to slow down a bit and maybe build 1 to 2 links to your website. And this idea on link velocity, I'll get to more in detail here in a few slides. But you want to make sure that your link velocity matches where you are as far as your website traffic. So that's the timeline for phase one.
So when you say build 1 to 2 links to your website, like getting an external link, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
So that can be. Okay. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So that can be like any of these methods that we went over in this slide.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So moving on to phase 2. And this is when, there isn't like a black and white when you're in phase 1 to phase 2, but typically this is where you're starting to see some improvements in your organic traffic. You're starting to see some improvements in your rankings to where maybe you weren't in the top 100 for a certain keyword or top 50. Now you're in the top 30. So Google is starting to trust your website more, and you're going to see that with improved rankings. So for this particular phase, you want to focus on guest posts, and link insertions. You can use any of those link types that we went over, but these are usually where, okay, you have your press releases, you have your citations, you have your social profile. So that's like your foundation, your foundational link layer. Now you want to look at guest posts, you want to look at link insertions. And this is where you can really be more targeted with your anchor text. We went over anchor text last time, and
Uh-huh.
have more control over, where you're getting linked to and on your website and what anchor text that you're using. So any questions there?
No.
Okay. So yeah, so this is pretty much going to be ongoing. You asked a few weeks ago, does it make sense to continue to pay your SEO provider? And this is where the retainers come into play, where they're going out and getting you these links, every week, every month, so that you don't have to do it. And
Right.
kind of using some of those metrics that we discussed last time, you want to make sure that, they're getting you quality links that actually are adding value to your website.
Okay.
And then finally, phase 3. And, to be completely honest, sometimes it doesn't even make sense to get to this part, especially maybe if you're targeting a local audience. But let's say, you're getting your business from Denver. Perhaps you want to expand nationally. And this is where you really need to look at becoming an authority in your space.
Okay.
So again, you want to go after guest posts, you want to go after link insertions, and then you also want to go after sponsored posts. The difference here is that we're in phase 2. Maybe you were going after kind of mid-level blogs, so maybe it's a website that has a moderate amount of traffic. Phase 3 is where you're going after your top blog, so gq.com or
The
you know
whale.
yeah, exactly. So websites on that level. So you can expect to pay more for those links if you're going the sponsored post route, but the idea is that you would be having more traffic and more business to where it wouldn't be such a drag on your marketing budget.
Okay.
Yep. And so just a note on link velocity. So going back to our previous session, you want to keep your backlink growth and your backlink profile as natural as possible. And this also applies to the speed into which you're acquiring new links. So if you're getting 5 visitors per month, um, just as an extreme example, it doesn't make sense that you would get 50 links per month. That just doesn't make sense,
Right.
right? So this is kind of like a table to kind of give you an idea. Okay, if you're at a certain level as far as average visitors per month, then this is kind of what you should be targeting for your minimum and maximum of new links per month.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would imagine Alpha Graphics, you can probably afford to, get a lot more links per month, but for White Shoes Consulting, maybe not as many.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So backlink prospecting. So starting off, we kind of went over this last time, but a quick review. You want to see who's linking to your competitors. So looking at that backlink gap analysis, and then understanding, kind of what are some target sites you could go after, once you start doing your outreach.
Yeah.
From there, you just want to do some research. We use special Google search operators to look for, relevant links to us, and then we'll go over that here in a bit. But for your campaign for White Shoes Consulting, it needs to be a mix of local websites. So it can be a Denver website or Denver blogger. Maybe they have nothing to do, or their blog has nothing to do with fashion, but maybe it has something to do with business. And, maybe a potential collaboration would be, these are some things or some tips for dressing for work that are still trendy for 2020. I don't know. You're the expert, but
Yeah.
kind of just finding like what are those potential collaborations before you reach out to them. Now, when you're looking at link building on a national scale, that's where you want to be more niche focused. So looking at fashion related blogs or anything that's in that realm, and that's where you want to go after those national opportunities. And then a big part of backlink prospecting, of course, you want to record the contact info if they don't already have a form or something on their website. But you also kind of want to do some snooping to understand who is this person that you're eventually going to reach out to.
Mhm.
What are their hobbies? Where are they from?
Okay.
Kind of, something that you're not, when you reach out to them, it's not just about a backlink or you're just not some random person, but you might be a random person, but maybe you can mention something that, hey, I saw that you're from Utah, so am I. And that could be a great way to kind of start that conversation.
Okay.
So I would recommend kind of just collecting that info as well. So first thing, the competitor backlink gap analysis. So if we're looking at,
Did last week.
yeah, so exactly what we did last time. So when you're looking at your competitors, and for this one, I just kind of just did the same competitors we looked at last time. Of course, you just do an export, and then from there,
You want to swap over?
can you not see
You're
my screen?
showing me? I can see the PowerPoint.
Oh, huh. Let's see. Uh, yeah, let's just show all when. No, let's do this. Okay, can you see SEM Russia now?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so you just export these. Have you already tried this from last time?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. And so yeah, once you're over here, let me make sure I'm sharing. Otherwise, there we go. So once you're over here, of course, it's just some kind of things, some added things here. So what I would do is sort this by matches.
Okay.
So I think the most is 2, if I remember correctly. So sort it by matches, and then from there, you want to filter out anything that has an authority score that's less than your website. So I believe your authority score was 4. So these last 2 here, you can just rule out.
Get rid of. Okay.
And then from there, you still kind of need to kind of do a quality control just to make
Yeah.
sure what these links are relevant. So, kind of just from just like a glance at this, I would rule out anything that has like .ru
Yeah.
in. This XX changing or XX close, I probably don't want to open that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just weird stuff like that. You just kind of want to rule out.
Or like your mother will die in her sleep unless you link to this site.com.
Yeah, that's a. Did you read that article?
I don't even know what it is. I just
Yeah, but I mean that's a
like
great way to get someone's attention for sure.
that's funny.
But
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't want to go after that stuff. Yeah, datemenow.club, datemeow.club. Yeah, you might want to take that out. And then anytime you see like Blogspot, Tumblr, I'm trying to think. You see like a WordPress.com website. Yeah, just get those out. Those don't really work anymore.
Okay.
And then .de, that's a website that's out of the US. So maybe just, since it does have a decent authority score, maybe just check it out.
Okay. Okay.
And if it's like in English, maybe let's check it out together here. Yeah, so I probably would stay away from this.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Those are
just
good.
doesn't look really good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I just go about this. Kind of just filtering out. Now, one more thing when we're looking at your competitors, And let's just look at, you can see SEM Rush, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of going to link velocity. So you have that table on kind of just some min and max ranges that you should try to stay in between. I would also look at, one of your competitors or all of your competitors to get an average on how quickly they're acquiring links. So yeah, we do carrieblair.com. It's going to take a while to load. Be slow when you're sharing.
One at a time.
Must be on lunch break or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There we go. So we look at their backlinks menu.
It's so crazy to have these tools that find all this information for you.
Yeah, right. It's like,
Kind of creepy.
yeah, right. um, so what I like to do is just kind of go in here and sort this by first scene.
Okay.
So I'm kind of scared how long this will take, but okay, that was fast. Okay, so just kind of break it down by month, and you can export this too if it's easier. But I'll just take a quick glance, and maybe I'll look, for the current year, how quickly they have been building links. So, if we just look at January, we'll count these up, count everything up for February and so on, and then just find the average of that. And then I would do that for maybe 3 to 5 more competitors, and
Okay.
then just kind of see, kind of on average, how fast are your competitors getting backlinks, and that will kind of be another kind of benchmark you can go by to understand how quickly you should be building links to your site.
Okay.
Yep. So that's that. So we talked about the competitor backlink gap analysis. So building a list of link prospects. And so this is where, you already have your list from the backlink gap analysis. Now we're going to do some Google searches to get an idea on some potential link opportunities. So if we click over here, so this is a tool I use. It's pretty much a database that's going to generate search queries for opportunities or link opportunities based on your keyword. So I
Okay.
just did, I shared this in the resources folder, so you'll have access to it. But just to show you how this works, so we just delete that. So basically anything we type in here. So why don't we do image consultant? It's going to populate this with queries, and you can filter out by the type of backlink that you're looking for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of backlinks that I didn't, backlink types that I didn't even mention here, but just for the sake of the example, we can look at, let's see, I like become a contributor. So let's just do a Google search here. So, and usually kind of just to speed this up, Spencer, I'll just kind of quickly look at it. So this looks like it's a blog article. This looks like it's just a how-to guide on how to become a contributor.
Okay.
So yeah, but maybe that could be helpful for you, since you are, we take out the image, you still are a consultant. But yeah, maybe this isn't a good one. Maybe this could work. Become a
Yeah,
contributor, consultant friends. Have you heard of these guys?
I haven't.
Okay.
I can do that and go through them.
Yeah, so just some things that I look at when I'm looking at opportunities. First I would just um, download these. So there's actually another template I use here to kind of just keep track of everything. And I'm saying all of this. Usually, if the budget allows, I would recommend, bringing on like a virtual assistant just to kind of handle this for you.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it can be very monotonous type work. One thing I would, always rule out if I ever see that the website has this not secure message. So basically, that means that they don't have an SSL certificate installed. And what that tells me, I mean, this is kind of like a old thing that every website should have this. So what
Yeah.
that tells me right away is that maybe this website isn't being managed actively, or they don't really care about it. So I would probably pass on this opportunity. Um, Now, I'll just kind of, just for example purposes, I will do one I did before the call. I was able to pick out some good opportunities. So fashionmingle.net, I already opened that. There's a few others here, but you know, uh, going to fashionmingle.net, it looks like it's a really good opportunity. It looks like the website is maintained. Um, Mingle mentors are members of Fashion Mingle Network, so it looks like some type of mentor network. And they do offer the opportunity where you can host a public webinar, you can become a contributor. I imagine there may be some, yeah, it's an application process. So I don't know if it would be, you have to pay to be part of this, but
Yeah.
I think it could be definitely a cool opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and just kind of going back to what I was saying, is this is like a legit website. So I'll look at the SSL certificate.
Uh-huh.
I also look at like their social media profiles. So what you will see for a lot of low quality websites is that they'll have the logos here, but they won't actually link to anything. It'll be, just a dead link. So yeah, make sure that they have active social profiles. Make sure that they have that SSL certificate. I might have a quick look at their blog if they have one, just to make sure that it's a legit business.
Yeah.
It's a legit brand. If you're going to be spending the time, you might as well get quality links here. And yeah, I would just go through that. And so I would just typically add this to the database. I call it a database, the spreadsheet. And
Yeah.
then, for the
Track of it
contact
all.
info, that might not be important because, they pretty much have a process for this already. You just hit apply now. But it always helps just for networking purposes, try to get somebody's name from the organization or from the company and just add their info here. And this is for the notes. This is where I would kind of just add some kind of quick tidbits on maybe their hobbies, where they're from. Maybe I will, share a few links of their content that they've recently published. And those can all be things you can use to kind of build that relationship once you start doing outreach.
Okay.
Um, all clear there?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. And then, tools for getting contact info. So my go-to is LinkedIn, especially for larger brands. They're usually going to have a LinkedIn presence. So are you familiar with like Sales Navigator and getting emails from LinkedIn?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think so.
Okay, no problem. So let's just say, I don't know, we wanted to connect with, then this might not be a good one based on what I just said, but let's see. I use a tool called hunter.io. It's a Chrome extension, but they also have a website where basically all you do is just install it, and you can
Okay.
basically pull out contact info from different,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, you can pull out contact info from different members of the team. So usually I like to go after, someone on a leadership team. So let's just say, maybe I'll do Melissa here. So as you can see, you can grab their email. You can just do a copy into your spreadsheet. And then maybe I'll just kind of do some little quick research about her on LinkedIn or something.
What was that extension called?
Hunter.io.
Cool.
So this is Melissa. I just usually have a quick scan of her profile, see if there's anything here that, maybe we have common interests or,
Yeah.
common things in our background. Really, the idea is, just like in person, or if you were looking for, a job opportunity, try to build that rapport or find ways to build that rapport before you reach out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, and that's pretty much it here. Usually what I would do, there's a website that I really want to get placed on. Maybe I'll have my primary target and then maybe have one or two others in case Melissa, she's unresponsive or non-responsive.
Yeah.
And that way, you can try reaching out to her a few times. If that doesn't work, then you can go out for someone else. And yeah, the thing I wanted to show you on LinkedIn, where if you already have to be connected to this person, so I believe we're connected here, but you can actually go in here and find their contact info usually.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go. So many times it's their personal email, but it's still better than nothing. And you can just add that to your contact sheet that we just saw. Other than that, if we go back to the slideshow, yeah, so Hunter.io and LinkedIn, I usually use those in combination, but maybe they don't really have a presence on LinkedIn. Maybe just do a Google search for their name and maybe the company name, and maybe they have a Twitter profile or a Facebook page. So yeah, it's a little bit of snooping, but it definitely helps when it's time to do some outreach to them. And then Voila Norbert, honestly, this is a tool I used to use quite a bit, but since I've been using Hunter.io, I don't use it just as much, but it's another way to get their contact info.
Okay.
So as you can probably guess, it takes time to do all of this. And when it comes to white hat link building, quality always trumps quantity. Um, so, instead of doing outreach to 100 different websites, maybe start with 10 and really nurture those relationships. And then those relationships, there are network effects where they may know people or introduce you to people. And that's kind of how you can build out your promotion network over time.
Okay.
Yep. And then kind of just one other thing, we focus kind of more on niche fashion consulting in this example. Kind of the same process. It would be the same process if you were just looking for local bloggers, except going back to the spreadsheet, instead of typing like a target keyword, you know, maybe you just type in your city or target location, and kind of the same idea, finding, bloggers or websites that are local and, that you can possibly collaborate with. Now, as I said, this could take time. Um, so on the opportunities tab, these are kind of like ready to go links. So typically what I do as we're kind of building out momentum for this process, have your virtual assistant go out to these different websites to build links for you.
Okay.
And that way you're starting to build some backlinks while the other kind of more manual process is building momentum.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a
Okay.
ton here, so you can just kind of filter out on different link types. Okay.
Do you do this yourself, or do you have an assistant do it?
I definitely have a team of assistants who do it. Yeah, but yeah, when I was just getting started in SEO, yeah, I just did this myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, Moving on to building relationships, and yeah, so it's kind of what we were talking about before. Don't think about this just as a link. Think about it as, you're building a professional relationship for future opportunities. So, you'll find that when you're reading a lot of things related to white hat SEO and white hat link building, they're going to say don't pay for links. And it's kind of BS because, there always has to be an exchange of value into why this person will feature your content, feature your brand, or link to your website. There has to be some exchange of value. And then for some of these situations, especially for your larger websites, it's not going to be just, oh, I wrote this blog post, can you link to it? No, that's not going to be enough value for them if they're already getting thousands of visitors per day. So that's where you'll find that you have to pay for links. And yeah, I just want to clear that up. Even a lot of the white hat SEOs, they actually do go out and pay for links. They just won't say it. So, try to find win-win opportunities where you don't necessarily have to, pay for that link. And this is where you kind of sometimes going to have to think outside the box. So going back to the dating coach example, maybe you provide them with, free or discounted consultations for their audience up to a limited number. And you make that exclusive for their audience. That's very common in e-commerce. Or maybe if you're looking for a review of your service, maybe you'll provide that discounted service for that website and their audience. You give them like a special coupon code or something.
Yeah.
Another idea that I've seen work really well, maybe you do like a top 10 dating coaches for 2020. And then for each of those different brands that you feature, you link out to their content. And then, maybe, promote it on your social media, maybe build a link or two to it. And then maybe a month later, you'll actually reach out to them and say, hey, dating coach or Mr. Dating Coach or Miss Dating Coach, I feature you on my top 10 list. Just wanted you to know that you've been featured. And I wouldn't even necessarily ask for a link, but usually, especially if they're like number one, they're going to share it on their social media. It's like kind of catering to their ego. So take some legwork, but can be very helpful. And then sometimes just promoting your content, their content on your social channels, and then just tagging them in it, that at least is going to get you on their radar to where, again, when you're maybe doing an outreach to them, it won't be such a cold ask. They're already familiar with you, and they'll be more open to working with you. So just some ideas on how you can add that value. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the actual outreach. So a few bullet points here. Use personalized templates. So kind of a good mix of like a boilerplate content that you're using, but find ways to personalize it. So adding their name, adding their brand's name or their company name in the email can be very helpful. Adding, something about, I saw that you like, or I saw that you're from Utah, so am I. It's always great to connect with fellow, what do they call folks from Utah?
Utahns,
yeah. It's always great to connect with fellow Utahns. Or even, if you're reaching out to someone in Denver, it's always great to connect with local Denver residents of Denver. Always, again, try to find a connection. Have a system in place. You can try to do this manually. You can try to have a virtual assistant to kind of manage the emails manually, but honestly, that can be a pain in the butt. So I recommend using some type of email program, whether it's MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Drip, just to kind of manage that kind of the outreach and the follow-up process. I personally, we use a tool called Mailshake. It's built specifically for link building, so it might be a good tool to check out. But the key takeaway there is try to have some type of like system in place to where you don't have to have your hands on this for each step of the process. And then the last bullet point here is build a small support team. So when you're going out for these different link opportunities, they may ask you for content, they may ask you for graphics. You want to have like a go-to team where you can reach out to where needed when you need that content. And so just some tips on building that team. I would have your link prospector. So really this can be a virtual assistant. They don't necessarily have to have SEO experience. It's always great if they do. And basically, I would give them your target list of keywords, some of your requirements as far as what domain authority that this website needs to have to do outreach for, and then give them that spreadsheet and just have them say, hey, go out and find me 50 guest post opportunities. And that's really all they do. And those can even be like a fixed price type of engagement where, you do it once a quarter or once every 6 months or something.
Okay.
I would have a content team. So basically, I would have a team of writers. And again, this is if you don't want to do this yourself, you don't have time, but have a team of writers where you can reach out to them and say, hey, I need a content for this website. And, these are some of the things, like give them a topic, give them, some of the target keywords to include, and give them the target audience and the target link that you want to link back to on your website.
Okay.
And, what I would recommend is just having like a template to use so that you'll just fill it out and then just send it over to them so they'll know what to do. Now, if you're looking to like do some infographics or any type of graphics, I would also have some type of designer. And to add on to this, if you're looking at video, maybe having a person that's really good at video editing where, you can put together a video, send it over to them to polish it, and then just send it over to that backlink opportunity.
Okay.
And then again, if you don't want to manage this, I would have some type of outreach specialist. And for the first 3 bullet points here, you can find someone offshore who can do these things very well and do it, more cost effectively than someone here in the States. But for outreach specialists, I would recommend having someone who's a native English speaker or writer. And again, you can find someone like this abroad, but it would be more difficult. So someone from Canada, the US, Western Europe, those would be my targets for this last role here. And really their job would be, sending out the outreach emails and responding to anything that comes back from the website owner. Just want to make sure the English is on point, just so that
Right.
your brand doesn't look, your brand is always in the most positive light. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. Now to drill down on the content team, this is what I've seen work really well. So basically on your content team, you're going to have 3 calibers of writers, or a minimum of 3 writing calibers. You're going to have writer 1, and usually this is going to be, their hourly rate is going to be between $20 to $30 an hour. And these are guys or women that maybe they don't have as much experience. So maybe they're a student in college. Maybe they're studying fashion in college and they're just looking for a gig to kind of, just have some pocket money. And maybe they don't have as much of a portfolio as far as where they've been published. So this is where, I would stick them, in this writer 1 category. And usually these are best suited for smaller blogs where, they don't have as much traffic or they don't have as high of a domain authority. Writer 2, I would say anywhere between $30 to $75 an hour. And these are folks, maybe they, have some portfolio, but they really haven't been featured on any huge websites, but the quality is really good. And, if you had to compare writer 1 with writer 2, their quality and just their knowledge is, just on another level.
Right.
And that's why you're paying more per hour. And then writer 3, these are kind of like your, cream of the crop. So they have been featured on GQ.com, and they can pretty much tell you, some of these guys and women, they can tell you, okay, I know that this is really trending,
Right.
for the summer. Why don't we
Yeah.
write something on this? So these, you're paying more per hour, but they can usually help you with strategy as well on how you can increase your chances of getting a backlink opportunity. And again, these folks, they're really, again, highest quality, you can pretty much put their content on any website out there, and it'll get approved. And when you're kind of vetting these writers, you want a few things that you want to look for, regardless of the caliber. They need to have some published samples. What you'll see, usually I use Upwork to find writers. What you'll see is that some of the candidates, they'll maybe provide a Google Doc of their writing, and well, yeah, sure, they might have written that. You really don't know. What you'll run into is that a lot of these freelancers, they work together, and so they'll pass around samples so that each of them can use in different opportunities. So
Gotcha.
what you really want, preferably, is that they can share with you a published article with their name on it,
Okay.
just to kind of make sure that they're credible.
Got it.
Yeah. Other than that, of course, I think this is obvious, but you want to make sure that their English is on point. So if you're communicating with them and it's not the best English, you might want to pass, because you can find like an editor to fix those things, but those are just increasing your costs. So you just kind of want to make sure that the written language is on point.
Okay.
And then number 3, you might just want to give them like a sample assignment that would just be for your website, maybe something small like 500 words, just to make sure that they can follow direction and they can deliver on their timelines. And I find that when you find a writer who can pass each of those steps, it's going to be a lot easier for you to work with them.
Okay.
Yep. And then Upwork is one place. You can also look at other places like Reddit. If you find someone who's sharing their content there, or if there's any like fashion related Facebook groups out there, maybe just post something that you're looking for a writer for your growing brand, your emerging brand, and just see kind of what feedback that you get there. That could be another good place to pick up some good writers.
Cool.
Yeah. Other than that, so at this point, you've done your research, you have some backlink opportunities that you want to go after. You've already started doing outreach for those opportunities, and maybe even you've started to get some of those published. So your job isn't quite finished at that point. So to really get any SEO benefit from that backlink, you need to make sure that that backlink is indexed. So when you're in negotiation with these different website owners, you need to make sure that they have some kind of attention on getting the backlink index. Some backlink or website owners, and you'll see this more so for lower quality websites, they'll just post your content or post your link and never touch it again. That's what you don't want. You want to make sure that, hey, if you spend the investment on getting that link, that they're going to help you as far as getting it indexed in Google. And the reason why that's important is the same idea with your website. You're only going to get SEO benefit once that page is indexed. So really, if there's no indexation or attention to that, it's pretty much a useless backlink. And so good links get indexed. So if you find that you reached out to a website and they, the link is published, but it's taking some time to get it indexed, and I would say anything over a month or 2, if it's still not indexed, that's kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
I would suggest my advice to you is that to go after higher quality websites, because that's a sign that that's not a good quality website. You kind of want to improve the quality of the backlinks you're going after.
Okay.
And let's just say you do want to take things in your own hands, and I would say this is probably not relevant for White Shoes Consulting, because you're doing this for your own brand. You have more patience. But let's say once you build out your internal team for Alpha Graphics, and maybe you say to your franchise owners, hey, we're going to get you X amount of links per month. and you're really coming up on that deadline and you need to deliver, then you might want to try to get the link indexed yourself. And so to do that, so first, before we get into that, do you think you can submit a backlink to Google Search Console for a recrawl? Would that help at all for this?
I was thinking about that. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So the answer is no,
Okay.
because Google Search Console is only useful if you actually own that website.
Okay.
So if it's a
That's what
website that yeah, exactly. So if it's a website that you own, yeah, you can go back there and just, submit it for a recrawl. However, it's not a candidate if you don't own the website, because you're not going to have access to the Google Search Console.
yeah.
So in order or these are some ways to get that link indexed, is that you can share that link as a comment on a relevant blog article or forum. So kind of going back here to our search operator sheet, you can actually filter out for blog comments.
Okay.
And let's say there's a specific topic that article is on. You would just replace this with whatever topic that is, and that will help you find blogs where there's relevant, the article is relevant and there are some comments there. They do accept comments.
Okay.
So that's an idea there. And also kind of similar for forums, you can come in here and there's also forum links you can go after.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much that tactic. And I would suggest that, Spencer, even just for promoting your own content, just so that you can kind of build your brand slowly by posting on other websites.
Okay.
Another indexation technique, you can share the content on your own social media channels. So you can share it on the White Shoes Consulting channels, and even if you're open to sharing it on your personal Facebook or your
Uh-huh.
personal Twitter or something, you can share it there as well.
Okay.
Third point here, and I would be conservative with this, is using an indexing tool. A popular one on the market is Omega Indexer. And I forget how many links they allow you, but it's something ridiculous, like thousands of links for index for $25 a month.
Okay.
I don't think it really would make sense if you're just doing it for your website. But, if you have a ton of backlinks that you're trying to get indexed, it's always an option.
Okay.
And then option 4, again, be careful with. You can create a page on your website that's hidden, so it's not in the top navigation menu or anything.
Uh-huh.
And basically the idea of that website or that page would be, it's kind of like where to find us. And then you can basically list every website where you've received a backlink and actually list that link there on the site. Now, the
Gotcha.
benefit of number 4 is that now that you own this page, you can actually go back to Google Search Console and ask Google to recrawl that page. So it's not a guarantee, but it is one way to get those links indexed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any questions there?
Nope.
Okay. So I just want to kind of go over also, I forgot to mention this before we go into some like the more advanced strategies. I am going to be sharing like these email outreach templates in the
Okay.
resources folder. So these are just different types of backlinks or different templates for the type of backlink you're going after. But yeah, of course, you kind of just want to, update it a bit so that it matches your style and your brand, but could save you some time when you're, gearing up to do some outreach.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So moving on to our last slide here. So, we talked about a few slides ago how, for, some of your really high authority websites. So what would be a dream website you would want to be featured on?
Probably like a GQ.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that's great. That's in my example. Um, so to get featured on a website like that, they may accept paid placements, sponsored posts, but a website at that level, they probably have tons of brands that are trying to get featured on them. So they may not even offer sponsored posts as an opportunity to get featured. So, kind of one backdoor way of getting into those websites or onto those websites is actually looking for contributors on those sites that you can reach out to. So if you see here, I'll zoom in here a bit. I did a kind of a special Google search here for GQ.com, and
Yeah.
I'm looking for contributors.
Okay.
And so most of these big websites, they're going to have these contributor pages, and you can actually kind of just get a list here of different contributors on GQ.com.
Gotcha.
So, and then what you can do, just check out their I guess the contributor page
Yeah.
and kind of see what they're doing here. And then what I like to do, okay, they look legit, is
Uh-huh.
actually do like a Google search for them. So I usually do their name and then the name of the brand that they're writing for. And excuse me. So what you'll find is that most of these contributors, they're actually freelancers. So they're writing for GQ.com. They may be writing for, other high
Okay.
authority websites. And then just check out their own personal website. So this is one guy, Matt Martin. So he has his own website. I actually think this guy is a photographer, not a writer. So I'm
Okay.
not sure why this is taking so long to load. But really the idea here is that you just want to get their email.
Right. Right.
And then kind of what we're doing on LinkedIn, this is their personal page or personal website. So you'll probably pick up like a few kind of bullet points on, just kind of personal info where you can reach out to them. And the idea here, Spencer, is okay, if they write for GQ.com and that's one of your dream websites to be featured on,
Yeah.
maybe you can build a relationship with them and they'll have some input into you getting featured there.
Okay.
And so this can work two ways. So the first way, it's more direct. You can say, hey, Matt, let's just say you wanted to reach out to Matt. Hey, Matt, I know that you provide content for GQ.com. I love your content. Maybe you can share a link, share a couple of links. So I really love the photography you did for this article.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can say, I work within the fashion consulting niche, and kind of give them your quick elevator pitch. And then you can say, I would love to work with you for a feature on GQ.com, but I would also love for you to do some work for my brand.
Yeah.
And see how that goes. You'll see that some of these contributors, they're purists where they're like, no, I'm not going to help you get onto
Yeah.
the website. And they're kind of annoying, but for other contributors, they'll be very open, especially when you present the opportunity that you're going to have them on retainer for some work for your own brand. So you can start with that communication up front, or you can say, hey, Matt, I would love for you to do some work with my brand. And then maybe, you send them one or two jobs or articles per month just for, to kind of build that relationship. So not only in that case would you be getting some really top-notch content for your website, but you're kind of building that relationship and you're paying them where, okay, maybe after 2 or 3 months you can say, hey, Matt, I noticed that you do work with GQ.com. Any ideas on how I can get featured there? And that way you already kind of have that relationship, and yeah, you can take the conversation from there. So
Okay.
that's kind of like if you don't have the budget to get featured there, that's like a backdoor way for you to get featured.
That makes sense.
Yep. So number two here, and this is more about getting your links indexed. So this is where you can leverage Twitter moments. I'm not sure what it is about moments on Twitter, but they work really well for getting links indexed.
Okay.
You can also share your link, and this is probably something you should do anyway. You can share your link on your Google My Business post. I guess Google loves their own products, so if you share
Yeah.
it there, it's a good chance you can get it indexed.
Okay.
Number three here, create visual assets based on trending topics. And so this is where you can use Google News and Google Trends in combination with an infographic to figure out, okay, this topic is really popular, but I don't understand, I don't see where anyone's created a graphic or visual asset to go along with it. So let's say the way I would approach this, let's use Google News for this example. So what's a trending topic in the fashion world recently?
Right now, from what I've seen, it's still the COVID stuff.
COVID. So let's say social distancing fashion.
Like a lot of people are trying to make face masks like a fashion trend now.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit as well. um, yeah, you might or might not find something good here. Um, maybe maybe this could be interesting. Buffy and bucket hats. Why 1997
They're
has taken
back.
over fashion.
Bucket hats are back, and I'm appalled.
Yeah. So maybe just check out this article. And the reason why I use Google News is because, yeah, usually they're going to feature topics from high authority websites. So just check it out, see what the content is about. And what you're looking for with this, Spencer, is looking at, okay, they have this graphic, maybe an idea you can use, and they already have quite a few graphics, but let's say they didn't. Maybe a way to approach this for a link opportunity is, okay, they don't have any pictures, or they don't have many pictures on their page here. Why don't
Yeah.
I build like a collage of different 1997 fashion trends, kind of
Okay.
create that as a visual content asset, and then reach out to this person to see if they would feature it, and kind
That
of,
makes
yeah, and then kind of use your site as an attribution link. So they'll link back to
okay.
your site. And then, so that's the first stage of it. The second stage would be plugging in this URL into a tool like SEMrush. So here, plug in here. Again, it's not really see search. See if we can find any influencers or any other websites that might have linked out to it. So I'm just looking here. There's a few. So 1, 2, 3. So there's several that maybe you can link out to or reach out to see, hey, you created this graphic for this placement. Why don't you share this as well for your website or your social media? That's something I really like, visual content, because you create it once and you can reuse it over and over again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so other than that, number 4, inviting bloggers to write content for your website. So typically what you'll see, write for us, there's going to be a page like that. And then if those bloggers already have any established networks, you can work out something with them to say, hey, I'm happy to let you write on our blog and link out to your website for no charge, but we just expect that you promote it on your social media channels or on your website as well. So that can be a way you can, again, get some new content for your website, but also kind of get that social media element too.
Gotcha.
And then number 5, what I would do is just subscribe to relevant email lists within your niche. So maybe not a competitor, but maybe, someone that serves the same audience as you.
Yeah.
So again, going back to the dating coach example,
Yeah.
then maybe, respond directly to their email distribution. Because they'll be a lot more open to that in responding to a email subscriber. And then maybe just mention something about, hey, great content. I noticed that you haven't posted anything about fashion, or you haven't done so in quite some time. Would you be
Right.
interested in some fashion related content? And that's one way you can build that relationship. And it's not so intrusive where you're cold emailing them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today's session. Did you have any questions?
I don't. It's definitely like a lot.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Like detailed, which I super appreciate. So like if I do get to a point where, I start doing this, it's gonna be super helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's where we should stop the recording.
Okay.
Um,